else to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 49th Street at the bench.
Can we talk about TikTok graffiti artists real quick? Is this a thing that we we can talk about real quick? Let me come out and say, I do post things on TikTok. However, I spent the past week on TikTok watching some graffiti artists, and we gotta talk about this. And I also want to talk about if you should trust the tutorials on TikTok. But more about that later in the video. I gotta start by kind of giving them a compliment, if anything, because it kind of reminds me of the early days of doing graffiti. Man, maybe you more experienced guys can relate, but it reminds me of sitting at home or sitting at the shop with a bunch of other toys who just aren't good, and we just enjoyed the art form. Now, I feel like that's a lot of what I find here on TikTok. Every single one of these people is speaking with excitement. They're happy to be doing this art form. And sure, their tutorials may not be the best, and sure, they may not be correct, but at the end of the day, they're pretty much where we were, right? If you happen to be one of those more experienced guys, they are what we used to be. Instead of, you know, having some place to meet at, whether it's the bench from New York, or whether it was the shop back where I used to work, or whether it's wherever you have, people who don't have access to that type of community now suddenly have access to it. I like that aspect of the community being able to come together. I like that aspect of toys specifically having a place to group. Because really, what it boils down to, at least from an outsider perspective, it's just kids being kids, you know? And at the end of the day, that's a lot of what graffiti was. And that's a lot of what we got to do before the internet came around. You know, the difference is we did it in person, and we did it on a much smaller scale because the internet tends to balloon everything to a much larger scale. You know, I was watching a live stream on there where there was these two dudes, you know, doing a little bit of a black book session, and they were going back and forth with their different ideas, giving each other critiques as they were working on hand styles and throwies. And once again, nothing they said made actual sense. Nothing they said was actually correct, but it was still nice to see. It was fun. It was just two people enjoying the art form, and I think at the end of the day, that's what's important that early on. But really in these early stages, what's important for most people is that they get hooked by the art form, and the way you do that is by having fun in a community. Once you have that, you're hooked. You're done. Like, you're in graffiti for life at that point. And we see that over there. Now, there is a different side of TikTok where you have a bunch of people doing just cringy things that just aren't quite right. I saw videos of people hitting cars and people hitting personal property, and when those kinds of videos get put out on a broader scale, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth because that goes against the ethics of graffiti in general. That's just not something graffiti artists do, not graffiti artists who take the art form seriously. You know, there is a code of conduct that graffiti artists do follow. And to see that just get thrown to the wayside for the sake of views is shallow and disappointing, to say the least. We also have the tutorials on TikTok, and these are very clearly people who do not know what they're talking about graffiti. Most of what they say isn't substantiated by facts, or they're kind of just putting out misinformation, and it's also just new graffiti artists with those nuggets of ideas trying to share ideas with the community at large in a tutorial format, but those ideas are incorrect. So when you put those incorrect ideas in the tutorial format, it makes newer graffiti artists feel as if those ideas have some kind of credibility that it doesn't actually have. However, that's not exclusive to TikTok. We see that on YouTube. I mean, that's all over Discord. It's been on the internet forever. Then you got some older graffiti artists on TikTok with a little bit more experience, and these guys are seasoned and they're trying to breed a community where they can show the ropes to that community, and that's pretty dope. You also have some people who just have genuinely good content, but those are far and few between. But if you ask me, as a new graffiti artist, what should I do, John? When it comes to TikTok, I'm on there all the time. Should I be looking at these tutorials? You know, it's in a format that's digestible and easy for me to follow. Should I pay much attention to that? My answer would be cautious on TikTok. The majority of the information out there on the app isn't good, and it doesn't really make much sense, and it would do you more harm than anything else. Fact, check everything. Also, if you're new to graffiti and you're on somebody's live stream on TikTok, you know, looking at them do people's tag names, don't look at that as an opportunity to bite. They're doing that out of the courtesy of, you know, trying to give back to the community, but that hand style isn't going to teach you how to rock your name. Even if you bite that hand style, you still haven't learned anything, right? You're still gonna have to kind of dig deep into the dirt and get your hands dirty learning your actual name. That's where a lot of the work in graffiti comes from. It comes from you understanding how lines work, that way you can make a smooth and clean line with your pencil, marker, spray paint, whatever the case is. It comes from learning how shapes work, that way you can get those nice, beautiful letters the way you want them. It comes from learning graffiti's fundamentals, which I have tutorials on, you know, on my channel in a full playlist teaching you everything you need to know, as well as published books. And it takes you practicing technique. The tutorials on TikTok typically don't go deep into the science about things, which is another massive issue, more so with the format as opposed to the actual people themselves, even though a lot of those people don't know the science behind it, so they couldn't explain it even if they had the time to. Overall, overall, in short, I would say kind of treat it more just as a thing to enjoy, but not really something to learn from unless the person is able to explain the science behind what they're teaching. If they aren't able to provide you with objective fact for what they're teaching, then kind of just toss it to the side and don't pay it much mind. It's also a great place for a community if you're looking for that as well. It's great to have over there. But other than entertainment and community, I wouldn't bother learning anything from TikTok. But dudes, let me know what you guys think about the graffiti scene over on TikTok. Maybe we'll make a follow-up video and you guys can recommend some people for me to watch. And let me know, do you learn anything on TikTok? On that note, if you want to make the process of learning graffiti as easy as it's ever been, then pick up one of the books I published with the link in the description down below. And feel free to check out the best how to do graffiti tutorials anywhere online. It's the top playlist with more graffiti content in the bottom. And I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.